And welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is shocked Aaron Rodgers lost to the 49ers. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, it was pretty surprising. Aaron Rodgers never loses week one, right?
Yeah, never loses week one, never loses to the 49ers. It was craziness going on.
Absolute craziness indeed. So, pretty interesting Monday night game. Obviously, these were two heavy hitting teams, so a lot to talk about. I feel like with that. Did you want to just start it off?
Sure, we can. Yeah. I was going to ask you about your. I think I want to real quick. How's the hair been treating you?
The hair is still there.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Not a lot of comments, so I guess that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Have you gone outside in public without a hat on yet?
Yes.
Okay, and it went okay.
I didn't see anybody staring at me, so I don't know.
Okay, all
Maybe
right.
I was supposed to be blonde. Maybe that's the key.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe it's a good look. I don't know. Let's talk about the Jets 49ers because we have a lot to get to on today's show. This was how I thought Rodgers. There was kind of the one question I was wondering was I felt like the Jets were a really good roster. And if they could just get like good quarterback play, Rodgers doesn't even have to be like elite. If they can just get good quarterback play, this could be a team that goes a long way. I think they got that last night. And maybe it turns out they need more than that.
At least to beat San Francisco, right? I mean, that looked like two different caliber opponents. Now, granted, maybe that's just a week one thing and it gets better. I think the Jets defense, I think, was the most surprising thing about this. Like, I think obviously San Francisco is just a machine right now, and that's just what they're going to do. But how easily it looked like they could carve up New York was impressive. I think that was the surprising thing I saw. Defense can be fluky to year, but I still think this Jets defense is going to be pretty good. And San Francisco was a buzzsaw in this game.
Yeah, I mean it. Obviously, San Francisco was incredible. Like, and we can talk about that in a second. I do think though, like, part of it too is for the Jets. They want to be a team that can beat San Francisco, right? They want to win the Super Bowl. Like, if you're getting blown out by a contender and saying, well, we got blown out by the best team in the league. Well, that kind of is almost insinuating that you're not a real contender. A super chat by Michael. Appreciate that. So who are my Panthers picking first overall? Michael, I'm sorry.
It's going to be a long season, man. Just, maybe watch some Garrett Nussmeier highlights. That'll help.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, but it's the kind of thing, right? Where like, okay, yes, you lost to a contender. Like at least the Ravens can say they were right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. I guess the thing is I take from this is like, I know McCaffrey didn't play too, so that's another part of this that we'll have to talk about. But like, it still felt very new for the Jets and everything kind of coming together compared to a San Francisco team that I know some of the guys showed up late, looking at Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams, but this is a team now that has been together for several years. This is they look pretty primed and ready for week one, I thought, compared to New York. I feel like I'm writing this off more casually than you are. Like, I just think that it's a week one thing. There's so many new faces on this Jets team. I mean, Mike Williams barely played in this one. It just felt like I'm going to give the Jets a couple weeks before I feel like I finally figure out who they are. I did see flashes of it. That one drive, that scoring drive they had was very impressive. But at the same time, I feel like I'm much more just I'm going to wait and see on the Jets.
And we're going to be waiting for a while because they have then like 4 easy games in a row. So I think that we might like not really get to see who they are for a bit at this point. But I don't know. I mean, I think games matter. I think that losing games matters. And I think that like losing this game is totally expected. I locked up the 49ers because even though I like the Jets this season, because I thought Aaron Rodgers would be rusty. I thought that, like, you're right, there is a lot of moving parts. It's going to kind of have to combine together at a certain point. But like, I do still think it's fair to say that even with all that being said, they did not even meet the low expectations I had for them.
Yeah. It's a fair point. It definitely got rough there, especially in the second half. It just felt like they couldn't move the ball. And I did not think the pass rush, it just felt like all around, like the run defense wasn't too good, obviously, because the rusher had 147 yards on the ground. It felt like Purdy was virtually untouched most of this game. I don't know exactly what I would look at from the Jets team and say was a positive. And yeah, Garrett Wilson, yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I do think largely though, yeah, I mean, this was a poor performance. And you don't want to drop games necessarily, but I do think it's going to be something that, like, if they're blown out by like Buffalo Monday night, that's their next Monday night game, then I'm a little more concerned.
Yeah, I agree with the general point of I think they're okay for now. I'm just saying I think this was if my optimism was at a 75 for the Jets before this game, I think it's dropped to like a 70 now. That's kind of where I'm at. 49ers played in this game as well. Kyle, I think this is, I mean, I'm going to have a take that's just going to annoy 49ers fans. But I think game is kind of in part why, like, I don't think Christian McCaffrey should have deserved any MVP hype last year. Like, not to say he isn't valuable, but like, obviously, like, running backs do well in this system. I don't know. It kind of felt like they just sort of slept walked their way into a dominant win here.
Yeah, they I didn't think they got off to the best start, but once they got rolling, it basically was unstoppable. I think they scored 6 straight drives or something, 7 straight drives, something like that. But it was impressive. I mean, look, the McCaffrey thing, I don't know, because I had someone else message me like, "Can we remember this when McCaffrey's like up for Offensive Player of the Year at the end of the season?" And I'm just like, I mean, he still had 2,000 yards and like 21 touchdowns. Like the issue is that, like, everyone can run in San Francisco. Yes, he still adds that much more, as good as Jordan Mason was. But like, I don't know. I still think he's incredibly valuable, even if he's not the most valuable player because he's not a quarterback. I mean, that's just what the position is and what the award is now. So it's fine. I thought he was good. I thought Mason was terrific in this game. And yeah, I mean, this team got rolling. And I mean, it felt like, I think a sleepy win is definitely the right way to put it, because they felt dominant. They felt better, but it definitely didn't feel like it's firing on all cylinders. I thought Brandon Ayuk was really poor in this game, obviously just coming back, getting into training camp late. I think that can definitely be something to improve. They didn't really look for a lot of explosive pass plays like deep down the field. I think they hit Kyle Juszczyk for one of their biggest passes of the day. It feels like there's a lot more for San Francisco to unlock here, and it was already really impressive.
Yeah, and I thought San Francisco's defense was really good in this one. I'm not saying Christian McCaffrey's bad. All I'm saying is that he's probably the best running back in the league. He's very good. He's very valuable. It's just his 2,000 yards. If you put in a different player, that player isn't getting 0 yards. You don't get credit for all of those. That's all my point is. But yeah, no. I mean, San Francisco's really good. Their offensive line looked great too. Like that should be mentioned. The weak spot looked really good. So yeah. Any thoughts on this? More thoughts on this game, or should we move on? We'll have more to talk about with these two teams when we get to their games.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's just about everything. I thought both lines of scrimmage were really impressive for San Francisco. I think that defensive line last year wasn't as impressive as we thought, and they looked really good in this one. They kind of bullied that Jets front, which is kind of an expensive group now.
Oh, one more thought. I didn't love Rodgers' mobility in this one. I have to say, I didn't love how he was moving around. I think like he's 45-year-old Tom Brady at this point. Like he's a pocket passer.
Yeah, and that's a big element to what his game was, right? Like his ability to buy and extend some plays too. That was something that he had in his arsenal. And I don't really think he's gonna have it anymore. I didn't really expect him to have it anymore to begin with, but like, yeah, I think it kind of just backed up my belief on that.
Yeah, I still think if this is the Rodgers they get this season, I think they're happy. But yeah, I think that's maybe a bit underwhelming. Let's move on. We have 16 games to talk about, so we got to get moving. Kyle, great week 1 for us. Scoreboard is still zeros on the board as we both missed one game but hit our locks, so you get the point removed. So still both at 0 here, which means, Kyle, I get to give you the first game since you gave me the first game last week. And I'm going to go, I think there's a couple ways I could take this. A surprising line that I'm not going to give you. I think I'm going to give you the marquee matchup. The one we're all here to talk about. The one that we might have to spend the entire show on. Giants at balls. Kyle, who do you got? The stoppable force versus the movable object.
Right, exactly. I do have the balls in this one. No shock there. I did have this one high on my list. Obviously, this is a this is not a fun matchup. I was considering locking up the balls, honestly, and then
Okay.
I looked at their defensive numbers again, and I was just like, holy crap, this is not a good defense. Like I think Tampa ended up week 1. Granted, I think Tampa's an alright team. Tampa ended up like number 1 in offensive EPA through week 1. It's not a good secondary. So I think the thing is this: if Daniel Jones doesn't make good throws in this game, you play Drew Lock. Just play Drew Lock. Like at least I know Drew Lock's gonna like throw it up there and hope for the best. Like Daniel Jones has to throw the ball downfield. And I just if he can't move the ball in this defense, I think it's over because this is a bad defense. And as good as Baker played in that one, I don't really think that's his level of play. I don't think he's that guy. So yeah, I think if he can't do it in this game, it's over. Just bench him.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think I mean, I don't know. It really is the stoppable force versus the movable object of like the Giants. Something has to give the Giants offense or the Washington defense. Like it's great when you have two bad teams and the badness is going to be on one side of the ball for each of them. So it's like the defense versus the offense. So like, yeah, I mean, this should be a very weird situation in that scenario. I also do think, though, I'm with you. I have Washington because I think Daniels should be able to move the ball at least to some degree in this one.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, I trust both of these quarterbacks' legs, but I trust like Daniels to have the awareness to use it more. Mm-hmm. And I mean, as long as he avoids Dexter Lawrence, who is trying to be like a Superman on this team, like I think I think he should be able to move the ball on the ground a little bit. I think that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, and Washington blocked well against Tampa Bay, so we'll see if they can do that again. I think a bit of a better front with the Giants. Maybe the one thing the Giants can say is, even though it was underwhelming week 1, yeah, want to move on?
Yeah, we can. I mean, the Giants, it's just like, I just don't think there's any more excuses. Like, I think the pass catchers are actually good in this team. I thought Neighbors, given the circumstances, was actually pretty good week 1. Yeah. I saw some tape of the Theo Johnson targets, too. He's the young tight end they got. And I thought he got open a fair amount. The times they threw it to him, he dropped one pass, and then the rest were bad throws. And then he caught one. Like, I think those are guys that can be relied on. I think those are guys that you can get the ball to in space. But, I mean, your quarterback has to make the plays.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Again, I do think I'm worried about Malik Neighbors against this Washington defense, so that's why I don't want to pick. I don't want to pick these types of games. Who knows what's going to happen? Kyle, give me a game.
This is more of a. I think this is a better matchup for everybody. Let's go.
Impossible.
Thursday night, Bills at Dolphins.
Bills Dolphins. Yeah, another one of the closest spreads. Yeah, the Dolphins are favored in this, which is a bit surprising, but it is in Miami, and it's it's the September Dolphins. You got to keep that in mind. But also, like the Bills didn't look. Neither of these teams looked dominant. I think the Dolphins were playing a better team, though. So that's kind of why I feel more on their side. I think I'm going to go side with Vegas here. I think I'm leaning Miami because I thought that the Dolphins looked a little off in that game against Jacksonville early on. Once they found their groove, they settled in. I think I do trust this offense, and I still don't know what to make of this Bills offense. I know it ended up looking really good. Josh Allen looked great. I still am worried about this Josh Allen having the Superman every game for the Bills to make the playoffs. I think it will happen, but like I kind of like Miami more.
I think the thing I'm at least convinced of is I think I trust Miami to cover Buffalo more than I trust Buffalo to cover Miami. And that may be the difference in this game. That being said, like I've said multiple times, I think this offseason and even week 1, I think this Arizona offense is kind of underrated. I think the Bills did okay. The tough thing, like it's just a different element altogether. Like, we're going to get a much more clear picture of what this Bills front 7 looks like because they're not chasing Kyler Murray around. Like that was part of the game was that Kyler Murray was just doing the stupid Kyler Murray stuff that nobody can replicate. And they don't have to worry about that with Tua. Tua's not going to move around like that. He's going to get the ball out a lot quicker and a lot more decisive. So that's a tougher element itself. But I think that's a much more structured environment where like a defensive line that's prepared for that is easier to prepare for Kyler Murray running around for 8 seconds and trying to catch him, which is like just trying to swat a fly that's just buzzing around you. So Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting element to this game. I didn't love Miami's offense in week one.
Yeah.
But that being said, like it's one of those things, like it takes 2 or 3 plays for this team to put up 25, right? Like 20,
Right.
to get a few scores because like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle can just take the top off the team. And all of a sudden it's like touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. So yeah, I think that's the difference in this game, that I do trust the pass catchers to get open more there.
Yeah, someone brings up a good point in the chat. No Miami Sun to help them in this game. Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like if I'm the Dolphins, I don't want my home games in September to be night primetime games. You want those 1 o'clock to use the sun because they have their stadium constructed where they're in the shade and the opponents are not.
Yeah. It's still going
But
to be a little warm.
yeah, definitely going to be warm. Absolutely. But you're right. But yeah, I agree with everything. I think the one thing you just always feel nervous about, not to turn this into a negative Tua thing, because I am pro Tua. Last week I was trying to talk up Trevor Lawrence and I insulted Tua by default. I didn't really mean to, but I still think that Josh Allen's a much better player, and so I think that's the concern.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that is the element to this. I will say, like, I thought the second half, especially Miami's pass rush, started playing a lot better. And I think Jalen Phillips had a couple plays. Calais Campbell got after it a little bit. I mean, those guys can definitely do it, but it's a lot different when it's Josh Allen. And, he's going to be able to extend a lot of plays too and create some opportunities for his team. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Miami defends him as well, because I thought like there was times that there was opportunities downfield, and in those opportunities, Jacksonville hit Brian Thomas and created some big plays. How consistently can the Bills do that with maybe not that caliber of receiver, but a much better quarterback? So I think it's going to be fascinating to see.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's move on. Why don't we? Let's go to another game. It's hard because I feel like there's some close spreads, but I feel like I don't know if I love a lot of these close spreads, or I don't know how much I agree with. I kind of feel like I have a good handle on where I think each of these games is going to go. So the game that's currently next to my list that I'll just throw to you. I'm going to go just Browns Jaguars, but even that, like, I mean, it's a 3-point spread for the Jaguars. Jaguars are at home, but like I'm assuming I know where you're going. It feels like, given the Browns' performance last week, it's hard to bet on them here.
Yeah, it is interesting. I am going Jacksonville. So I was going to say too, so we went like 14-2 last week in picks, obviously, with the 0 points on the board. 13 favorites won. And then we got the 2 games we got wrong were underdogs, and then we got one of them right, which was Pittsburgh. So I just think I'm curious to see, is there a talent disparity that's noticeable in the NFL this year, or is it something that just kind of fluky that happened week 1? That being said, I'm taking Jacksonville in this game. Yeah, the vibes aren't great, I would say.
Probably, yeah. I think fair to say.
We already have Cleveland sports talk radio clips going viral. We have news sexual assault. I mean, I'll be honest. I hope Jameis Winston plays in this game. Like, at this point, just swallow the $200 and cut the loser.
Like $200,
$200 million.
Yeah, so that's a bit
swallow
of
the $200 million and cut this loser. I'm just so sick of him. I don't want him in the NFL anymore.
I think they can't. They literally, I don't think they'd be able to cut him. Like, I don't think you can make the money work, because it'd be like $170 million in dead cap for this year. I don't think it's like, I literally don't think it's possible to cut him.
That's terrible. Well, just send him somewhere else. I don't know. Just tell him to go away. Like, I'm just so sick of talking about Deshaun Watson. And you can't even justify. Like, this was the bad deal when he was good, and now he's not good. Like, this is up there with like the Louisiana Purchase for the French, right? Like, this is just horrible. Like, this is just a disaster. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is I just don't want to see him anymore. I don't want to see him play football. He's not even fun to watch play football. So I don't know why I have to endure it. I'd rather see Jameis Winston out there. And I was just
going to say, and the backup is the most fun to watch quarterback of all time in Jameis Winston. Yeah. So it's like, I don't disagree. I really think, like, I don't know how much more you give him, and I do think Jacksonville has a good defense. And Kyle, I went back and watched that Trevor Lawrence game because I am the one Trevor Lawrence stan, I suppose. I don't know how this happened, but like
Yeah.
I thought he played really well in that game. Like the first half was very good. The second half they were running basically every play. Like the receiver dropped one of his passes. Like I think there's like a thing or two you could nitpick, but like I thought it was a pretty good game. Like there wasn't really much he could do.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line let him down in the second half, I felt like. And like you said, Travis Etienne scores a touchdown, and that game's probably over. Like, you don't have to worry about it at that point. So, yeah, it's just the win-loss thing. I mean, obviously, you look at the box scores too, and like the box score wasn't awesome. But no, I mean, I like Jaguars defense. I thought they played pretty well in that game. Tyreek hit one big play, and that was really the difference. And they just got to take care of the ball. I think Cleveland's defense is going to play a lot better. They weren't given a lot of great situational football situations, I would say. And I think that I think they'll be much better in week 2. So I think Myles Garrett can also get after this offensive line, similarly to what Miami did. So that's my stumbling block, but at the same time, better quarterback and better team. I'm going Jacksonville.
Yeah, basically, I'm just giving you this game because I feel like maybe the Browns week 1 was a fluke because like we did kind of all think the Browns were going to be at least decent. And most of us had them in the playoffs, or at least as a playoff contender. I like this comment. The French catching strays. You think the French are listening to this like
got him again?
I've got to bring that up once again.
We're never going to live this down. It's like the James Harden trade almost now.
Yeah, you can't stop. You can't stop thinking about it. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's go Bucks at Lions.
Wow. Okay. This is I feel like a surprising, a bit of a reach here, Kyle. I mean,
Think so?
I think so. I mean, I'm just trying to count I believe there's only one other game that has a higher spread than this one right now. So this is definitely, I think it's probably the earliest the game that with the second highest spread has ever been drafted before.
Listen, this is the disrespectful line is why. I'm taking the Bucks +7 here, 100%. Granted, I don't think they're as good of a team, but I'm taking the Bucks +7. Who are you taking? The Lions?
Yeah. First off, I'm just going to let you know I'm picking the Lions to win, but I just got to get that officially stated. But who do you have winning the game?
Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Detroit is better, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Tampa played them well in the playoffs. I think Tampa showed that they can still do some good things in this game. I'm not really concerned with Tampa going at this secondary until I see the secondary play well. I think they're going to find ways to get, I think Terrion Arnold's a really good prospect, and I think he's going to be a good player. I worry for him in this game when he's going against these guys. So I think Tampa is going to find a way to get some things open with the passing game. I think Godwin's going to be able to get open against Arnold if that's the matchup, or, if they vice versa. And yeah, I think Mike Evans can bully ball some of these guys. I think he's just that kind of a matchup problem. So I like Tampa's offense being able to stay in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense could do okay here. I think here's why I'm concerned, Kyle, is the Bucks, like half of their secondary is currently injured. Antoine Winfield's going to miss this game now. I think that's kind of a bit of a big deal when you're going up against a really good team like the Lions. Not to mention, as good as the playoff game, I agree. I think the Buccaneers had a really good performance in that playoff game. They lost by more than 7, right? It was an 8-point loss. So I don't know. I mean, the one thing you have to look at defensively for Tampa Bay is Todd Bowles has, for the most part, typically played the Lions pretty well. Like these kind of defensive coordinators that mix things up. That's usually the way you beat a team like the Lions. So too many teams try and just sit back and like let the offense come at them. You have to attack an offense like this. Todd Bowles gets that. But we saw in the playoff game, the Lions were like, oh, Zion McCollum's in. Let's just attack him every play. Yeah. Now they're going to have Zion McCollum's backup, or maybe even third string guy in, or maybe McCollum will play. It hasn't been announced yet, but either way, I think the Lions are going to be scoring a lot. I think the way Tampa Bay wins is getting a couple turnovers, which they can always do. That's always part of their game, but I think that's how they can. That's the only way they can pull off this upset, in my opinion, or just Baker goes off.
Yeah. They are going to scheme things against this defense. I still think it's a pretty good defense, but at the same time, Like this is not kind of this is not the team you want to have weak personnel in, right? Like they're just going to find ways to target those guys more than anybody. So that is definitely a problem. I just think this is going to be a high scoring game. High scoring games do tend to lean to variance sometimes. So I do think it could be kind of a toss up.
Yeah. I hope so. I'm hoping, Kyle.
Watch this be the upset. I picked my team wrong last week. You're going to get it this week.
Yeah. Certainly. I'm not dyeing my hair though. Not doing any of that.
No promises there.
No promises. Again, the weird thing was you didn't even like have like a bet to win if you if like it was just like I'll do this, and then if it doesn't happen, then you just would keep your hair the same.
Well, I lost. It's okay. Yeah. It's a happy loss. That's all that matters.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta say, I think you're enjoying this hairstyle a little bit. I think you're having a good time.
Why not, man?
I think maybe this was secretly you saw Joe Burrow's hairstyle and wanted it, and like, but
I said I gotta copy that.
Yourself. Yeah, so you were gonna every week you were gonna keep saying, oh, if this happens, I'll get the Joe Burrow hairstyle until something happens.
I can guarantee you, I was not planning on doing this until I was reminded of it. So yeah, definitely wasn't gonna happen.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Joe Burrow. Why don't we? I'm giving you Bengals at Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't love this line. I was hoping for a little bit closer, but like I was thinking about locking this one again, but like I don't know. No, I'm not going to do it. I do think the Chiefs are going to win.
Come on, you got to lock it up. Gutsy locks are how you win this show, Kyle.
No, I have a good feeling that the Chiefs could blow them out. I do. I think there was throws to have in that game for New England that they couldn't make. And my one concern is like Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson going after these tackles and it being a problem, but it's Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think they're going to handle this game pretty easily. And, I obviously haven't seen any updates on Cincinnati. I do think they probably played better. They played better than the numbers show. Obviously, the turnovers in their half of the field didn't help, especially one at the goal line. Like they probably win if it isn't for that. But if T. Higgins is out there, I think this is a huge problem, and I think the Chiefs should be able to run it out.
I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I realized this earlier this week that I picked against the Chiefs 5 consecutive times, despite the fact that they have then won every single one of those games. I'm going to stop picking against the Chiefs. What am I doing? I'm picking the Chiefs. I do think, though, the Bengals do have a history of playing Kansas City tough. They did beat Kansas City in a conference championship game. Again, there is one active quarterback who has beaten Mahomes in the playoffs. It's Joe Burrow. And I also think that we'll see the health of these wide receivers, but like Jamar Chase is really good. Like they don't have L'Jarius Sneed anymore. The Chiefs don't. So like that is something that I do think is worth noting, and I'm interested in seeing how that goes. So because of that, I do think there is upset potential. I think if there were a couple closer games, though, this one's probably falling a little bit further down the list.
Yeah, I agree. I think the interesting thing about this game is going to be we're going to get much more of a clear picture. Because like I said, I thought on the Sunday show, I said I thought the outside corners for the Chiefs played very well. I thought that was an impressive showing for their first game. That was probably the biggest question mark of the Chiefs heading into this season. And who was it? Shamari Connor and what's the kid's name again? Jalen Watson. There it is. Those two, I thought, handled it very well. I thought they did a very good job. The issue is they weren't really going against the best of the best when it comes to outside receivers in Baltimore. That's not their strength. If T. Higgins plays, this could be a matchup problem, but I also think Shamari Connors is a pretty good player. He's a guy I like. I think Watson's a pretty good player. Like, I don't think it's like a total disaster. It is a matchup disadvantage, but I don't think it's a disaster. And I think they'll be able to hold up enough. The biggest question I have for Cincinnati and my concern is the offensive line did not look good in week 1. Keon White, I think, was one of the highest graded pass rushers in week 1.
That's not good for the Bengals. That's not good to see that.
Yeah, that is not good. I like Keon White as a talent, but you're going against George Karlaftis, Derek Nandi, and Mike Dana and Chris Jones. I think that's a much more of a problem than Keon White.
Yeah, Kyle, if the Bengals pull off this upset, will you dye your hair back to what it was?
No.
Okay.
I might do that anyways, but, I won't bet on it.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, should be a fun game though. It's always entertaining when I like Bengals plus 5.5. I have to say.
You do? I don't know. I guess these two teams, just as rivals and all that, like you think it's going to be
Mhm.
closer. Like that's probably the right play. I just think that Kansas City is more talented.
Well, we'll see. I definitely, again, I'm with you that I can't stop betting against the Chiefs in some ways, I suppose. But it's really, I think I'm still not giving up hope on the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think a competitive game, even a loss, would go a long way for Cincinnati. Kyle, give me a game.
Um, New Orleans at Dallas.
Okay, yeah, yeah. It's another one where I'm like, okay, the line seems a bit high. I do agree. I like Dallas in this one, but like, I thought the Saints looked really good last week.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we said on the podcast a couple days ago is like, if you win by 15, everyone's like, what a performance. If you win by 37, everyone's like, wow, the other team stinks. Like, the Saints won by too much. And Carr looked really good in that game. Like, yeah, sure, some of the throws were open, some of them weren't, and he was just making plays, and was even kind of making plays after the original play broke down. That being said, I think you again look at what Dallas did to what we think was a pretty good offense, and they were able to kind of or excuse me, what we think was a pretty good defense in Cleveland, and Dallas really had not too much trouble offensively. And just the biggest worry I have is this Dallas pass rush against the Saints offensive line that I don't think is that good.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's the offensive line that I'm the biggest concerns about, and especially with if Carr does get pressured, because I think the big thing was Carr didn't get pressured a whole lot. Like you said, he was able to extend some plays, but it wasn't a whole lot of issues there. I do think like I'm pretty interested now in what New Orleans has to offer. Like I think they played better. Like uh, that was just such an anti-Panthers like heel turn from everybody, justifiably. It wasn't a good performance. They weren't good. They don't look
Mhm.
like they're going to be very competitive this season. But I don't think you just accidentally score 47 in the NFL because the other team's like atrocious all the time. So I am interested to see if this works out again. I like these receivers. Olave wasn't really involved in the game at all, too. And like Rashid Shaheed caught a big play, and the backs both came up big in that game. There's stuff like that. They have a lot of weapons they can go to. You got to be able to block these guys, though, and that's the biggest thing I'm concerned about.
Yeah, and I just feel like, the biggest thing I like about the Saints is their secondary. For all Dak Prescott's faults, I think he knows how to handle a good secondary. I don't think he's going to be, weirdly, he doesn't know how to handle the bad secondary with the Packers. It seems like, but the good secondaries, I feel like they're going to scheme up stuff well. They're not going to be stupid out there, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the offense, it very much, I don't think it was an awesome offensive performance, but like it was very
Mhm.
much like a collected offensive performance. Like it was almost just one of those things that's like he just needed to be better than the other guy. Like he wasn't going to put the ball in harm's way. He just know he had to be better than Cleveland's offense, and that was pretty easy for them to be able to accomplish. I am interested in seeing more of the secondary options for Dallas in this game, seeing if they can get open. I know Brandon Cooks had some moments in that game. But yeah, I just think I think that's an element of this. And Saints also hit some big plays in the passing game last week. And I'm just not sure they're going to be able to do the same thing with Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson back there. Like, I think they're going to take away a lot of those big plays that they had last week.
Once again, though, don't understand this line. I think this should be a lot closer.
I do too. Until we see New Orleans perform worse, I feel pretty good about that. I have a question for you. I got a
Okay.
trivia question. I just want to verify my information here real quick. Do you know the last time Dallas lost a home regular season game?
A home regular season game. Interesting. Did they correct me wrong? Did they go undefeated last year?
Yes.
Okay. Well then I would guess 2 years ago. Was it I don't know. Was it the season opener against Tampa Bay 2 years ago? That's one I can think
Yeah.
of.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
How about
Sunday,
that?
September 11th, 2022. So they are going to hit 2 years without a home loss in the regular season.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's I
Yeah.
guess yeah. I mean, like I don't know what the takeaway from that is, but okay. I guess in that point, I get maybe they're just the Cowboys get like 5 points at home instead of 3.
Yeah. That could be the case at this point.
Hmm.
That's an impressive run. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Like, this is this team. Don't count the playoff losses, just the regular season
Right.
ones. That's an impressive run.
Yeah, because they have had multiple home playoff losses in that run, or at least one.
No, they were on the road for San Francisco in
Okay.
2022. So just the last one.
And I think it was the
Green
year
Bay.
before they lost to San Francisco at home, but that's now before the
Yeah.
streak started. So yeah, gotcha. Well, interesting tidbit there. Let's move on, Kyle. I'm gonna give you a game. I'm gonna go Jets Titans.
Um, I'm locking this one.
Okay.
I'm not wavering on the Jets. I feel good about it, and I feel like I'm getting some house money here. I think the Jets defense is going to bounce back, and I think Will Levis is a dead man walking for this game, to be honest. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't even need the Jets offense to play well. I at least trust Aaron Rodgers is going to make mistakes, and I also trust that Will Levis will make mistakes. So, yeah, Jets lock. I think they win this game by at least a touchdown.
I hear you. I think this is definitely a good lock. I guess the question is, we're just assuming Will Levis is going to be an idiot again, but like even by his standards, last week was an anomaly, right? Like he's not always just flipping the ball to the other team for game-winning pick sixes, right?
No, I mean, of course not. But like,
Mm-hmm.
he is a high risk thrower. Like even back in college, like it's not like that was obviously like full crazy, but he's kind of crazy. And I know this Tennessee defense didn't give up an offensive touchdown in week 1, but I just think that New York is better. So, and Aaron Rodgers is better than Caleb Williams. So I just feel pretty good about them being able to move the ball enough. And like, yeah, I don't know what Will Levis is going to hit in this game, honestly.
I'm a little concerned about the Jets offense in this one. I think the Titans defense looked very good week 1. Granted, it was, Caleb Williams in his first start, and there were some opportunities that Williams missed. But that being said, I still thought the Titans defense looked very good week 1. And the Jets offense just didn't look that good week 1. So I think, I trust the Jets to win. I trust the Jets to cover. I think this spread should be more. I agree. I think there is some upset potential.
There is upset potential, I agree. But I think a lot of that is going to come down to Aaron Rodgers turning the ball over still. I mean, it is possible. It is possible. This defense did look good. So I'll give him the credit for that. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I just think it's a different caliber of opponent.
Yeah. Also have a super chat. What about that one game where Will Levis threw 5 touchdowns? And by the way, did you know that Jackson has another channel where he reviews movies? Yeah, I do. Check it out. Jackson Kruger Movies. Link is in the description.
There you go. Look, I mean, that's probably the one thing you have to look at too, right? Is like if they're able to hit the big plays, that's kind of Will Levis's MO. Like he's not afraid to throw the ball up, and if they come down with it, then yeah, they'll be able to hit some big plays.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Will Levis has had some really like that at the end of the Dolphins game last year. Like he has had some good moments.
Yeah, there's been a few. I'm just not betting on it this one.
No, you can't bet on it, but it's always nice to not be picking the Titans.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick against them every week, but this just feels like I don't know. I just feel like I'm not wavering on the Jets. If they look bad this game, I'll waver on the Jets, but I'm not wavering on them yet. I think this is the team that I picked to win the division versus the team that I picked to be last in their division. That's a much lesser division, by the way. I just think it's two different caliber of opponents.
Yeah. Another super chat by Overlap618. Jackson, this is Overlap, in quotes, the real one. Was there a fake overlap? Did that happen? Jackson, on the serious topics, when is your movie channel reviewing Ernest Scared Stupid? I don't think I know that movie, but probably not anytime soon. Overlap618. The movie channel all of a sudden getting a lot of attention in the chat.
Yeah. What if Overlap super chats you $100 to review Ernest Scared Stupid? Would you do it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'll review any movie for $100. I think that's the price.
Okay, deal. I will get the Paw Patrol movie ready. That's what I said.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. But anyway, so do we have any more on Jets Titans?
No, I mean, no. I think I'm good. Like I said, I am still backing my preseason analysis of these two teams. I I didn't think Tennessee's defense was going to be that bad because they invested a lot in it. I just think that it comes down to, like, I still believe the Jets are going to be a better team than they showed in week 1. Aaron Rodgers always does this. He stinks at week 1 and then he throws 4 touchdowns at week 2 and everything's fine. Like, I think that's going to happen in this game.
I think that's probably what's going to happen as well. Kyle, time for you to give me a game.
All right, what's next on my list? Let's go Colts at Packers.
Yeah, another one where I'm assuming the line is this way just because there is, I think, an outside chance Jordan Love does play. Okay. Well, also interrupted as overlap 6 and 8. Jackson, this is overlap, the real one. Say no more. Ernest, scared, stupid it is. Okay. Well, I'll get to that at some point. In the next couple of weeks. I'm busy, but I will get to that. We'll say, at least within the next 2 weeks, I'll get that taken care of. Overlap. So I don't know what this movie is. Do you know?
I'm looking it up right now. So it has Ernest Scared Stupid from 1991. The tomato meter is 25% and the popcorn meter is 51%. The cast includes John Cherry III, Jim Varney, Eartha Kitt, and then a bunch of people who don't have pictures.
Okay, yeah. Overlap, what are you doing with your money? Why is this what you're doing? I appreciate it, but I'm a bit confused.
This guy's definitely in like finance or something, right? Like,
yeah. I don't know. An odd decision, but I mean, I appreciate it. I'll make it happen.
All right. Well, there we go. We got it to work. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate
it. Yeah. Okay. Colts Packers. I mean, it's the thing where it's like, if Jordan Love does play, which I don't think is going to happen, there is kind of that small chance, which I think is getting the line a little bit closer. Like, I still think the Colts have a good chance in this one, and I definitely think they're going to win if if he doesn't. So yeah, obviously I'm going Colts.
Yeah, I am. I agree with you. I do agree with the situation. Do you think there's a pathway to Green Bay winning if Malik Willis is playing?
Well, probably, right? I mean, run the ball a lot. Matt LaFleur schemed a lot of good stuff open in that last game against the Eagles. Now, I think that might have been some Eagles defense in there as well, but like, yeah, I don't think it's crazy. Like, I think they could try to get stuff going that way, and then just defensively, I mean, hope that Anthony Richardson turned the ball over, which he could definitely do. Another movie super chat. Are you going to do a movie review for It Ends With Us? Probably not.
I did see that one. I didn't see it. I saw the trailers, I should say.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Maybe at some point. I mean, listen, I watch the movies that I'm interested in, then I make the movie reviews. That's how the movie review channel goes. We can talk about that on that channel. Kyle, your thoughts on Colts Packers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm deeply concerned, obviously, if Jordan Love isn't playing. It is, I don't know, like, I'm not ready to just say this Colts team is going to be better, though. That being said, I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself into this. Like, Anthony Richardson would have to make a lot of mistakes, I feel like, in this game if Jordan Love isn't playing, which is very possible with Anthony Richardson, by the way. So It's not like it's out of character. It's just it's asking a lot for Green Bay to be able to compete with that. They're going to have to run the ball well. They're going to have to establish the ground game. And maybe that is the pathway because Houston showed you can kind of run on this team. Granted, I think part of that was also scheme related. They're trying to stop all those Texans receivers. Joe Mixon had a lot of running lanes, and Joe Mixon's a good running back. I don't know if Josh Jacobs is going to have the same level of success.
Brandon says punt every first down. Ooh, that's a good idea, Kyle. Do you think they could? Is that a good strategy?
Probably not, but you can give it a go.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe run 3 times and then punt.
Yeah, maybe if you're going against the Panthers, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, that probably could. Although then you don't get the opportunity to go against their defense either. So I think you don't have to overthink going against the Panthers. I don't think.
That's probably fair. Yeah.
Well, all right, Kyle. Time for me to give you a game. I'm going to go Steelers Broncos. Again, Steelers are kind of a team that a bit of an enigma. Where are you going?
I am going to go Steelers. This would be a very Steelers loss.
Mm-hmm.
I said week 1 would be a very Steelers win. It'd be very Steelers to follow up that awesome win with a loss here. That being said, I've watched Bo Nix a lot in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and he is not afraid to put the ball in harm's way, as we saw in week 1 at the NFL level. He did it a
Yeah.
lot in college too, except for when he was at Oregon and everything was designed at the line of scrimmage. He did it a lot at Auburn for sure. He is not afraid to make a big mistake. I think this is a problem. The Steelers defense is going to cause him some fits. TJ Watt's going to wreck a lot of this game. I think the Steelers defense wins this game. That's the unit I trust the most in this one. I don't think it's going to be a huge margin because Steelers don't win by huge margins, but the defense is going to do a lot in this game. I got the Steelers winning.
Yeah, I think this is a good choice. I mean, I do think there is, again, what's the pathway to victory for Denver? Their secondary looked good last week. Like, can Justin Fields throw? I do have concerns about this Steelers offense. And then you just hope that Bo Nix doesn't touch the ball at all if you're Denver.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like if they're able to limit Justin Fields' mistakes throughout the season, then it just comes down to, like, you're going to start a few drives at the 50-yard line because you are going to get a turnover probably in this game. So it's just like you have to convert short fields, short down situations, like those high pressure moments. You have to be able to convert a little. And I mean, we saw it in the last game. Like the offense did not move the ball in that one either. Atlanta's defense, I think, actually did all right, but Chris Boswell was able to make everything too because they got him in positions to make field goals.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, is Bo Nix, are we coming out of this next week like what a disaster by Bo Nix?
I think there's a good chance of it. You got to use his legs. Like, that's the best part of his game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to make him, like, there's a lot of Daniel Jones and Bo Nix. That's kind of my take last on Sunday. I still kind of feel that way. Having, like, skimmed through some of the games on rewatch, I think there's a lot of Daniel Jones. I think you have to use both of those guys' legs. Those are their best assets, and I think Bo Nix needs to be used in the running game.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
Breezing through this, let's go. I think you're locking this one up. I'm going to give it to you anyways. Rams at Cardinals.
I'm locking it up. Yeah, I'm going. I mean, the Rams are somehow underdogs in this game. I don't understand it. I'm locking up the Rams. I think the Cardinals looked all right week 1. I do. But, like, I think, again, I thought Stafford was really good last week. I know that he had to work for it. I know that there's some offensive line injuries. But I don't love this Cardinals pass rush. I think, I know Nakua's going to be out for this game. They still have Cooper Kupp. It could end up being kind of a shootout. I think it's possible. I do like this Cardinals defense, but I even thought the Rams defense played surprisingly well. So I just think the Rams are a better team, quite frankly. So again, I think the Cardinals are better than maybe I thought they would be entering the year. I still like the Rams more.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is two different caliber of opponents. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cardinals move the ball a little bit more. Kyler Murray's not going against his arch nemesis, Aaron Donald. So that is a helpful thing, I think, for him. But I did think the pass rush looked pretty good in that game. Detroit's offensive line is going to win against almost anybody, right? Like they had their moments of dominance, but the Rams at least got a little bit of pressure in some big moments. So I think that there is reason for optimism there for sure. I think a lot of this just has to come down to the Nakua injury and the Rams offensive line kind of being in shambles right now. But I don't think the Cardinals are the team to take advantage of those issues. Like, this just isn't a good defense. Like, it's not. I know they got a couple stops on Buffalo, but it still felt like Buffalo was largely doing whatever they wanted. In week 1 where a lot of offenses look pretty poor. So I think the Rams should be able to comfortably win this game. I agree.
Yeah. But I mean, so what happened? Why are the Cardinals favored? Do you know what happened here?
I'm assuming it's the Rams injuries and the Cardinals offense. That's what it's got to be.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
I mean, we saw what David Montgomery did against them. I think James Conner can have similar success.
Yeah, that's not fair. That's not unfair.
Yeah, I think he could do that, and Kyler's going to be able to pull a few crazy tricks out. I would love to see the Cardinals use their outside receivers more this week. And I'm not just saying that as a Marvin Harrison Jr. fantasy owner.
Oh, no.
I'm saying it because he's also very talented. I didn't take him too high, so I was okay with it. But like, yeah, I think they I I think they need to use their outside receivers a little bit more. But, I think we saw James Conner still has it. Kyler Murray still has that creativity to his game. Greg Dortch and Trey McBride, I thought, looked pretty good in week one. I think they could have some success with those guys alone.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Again, it's just I know transitive property doesn't really work in football, but like the Lions and Rams played a very competitive game that went to overtime. The Lions 7-point favorites to the Buccaneers, who people think could be a playoff team. The Rams underdogs to a team that many don't think is that great of a team, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are high on the Cardinals. I don't know, but Kyle, okay, the Marvin Harrison Jr. If he doesn't work out, I'm just cursed with my wide receiver 1 predictions in the draft, right?
I mean, to be fair, this one is not just you. Like, Kadarius Toney is one thing. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not just you. Everyone's in on Marvin Harrison.
That's my point. Is if even he ends up not working out, then I'm just cursed.
Yeah, I am interested to see. I didn't look at like any of the all 22 stuff or comments on the all 22 stuff because there was a lot of like replays they showed during the game of like Marvin Harrison Jr. down the field with his arm up in the air. But I can't tell if those were just broken plays that he was just running to see, oh, I'm open now. Why didn't you throw me the ball sort of thing? Or if Kyler was missing plays down the field. So I am interested in seeing that.
I didn't really think it was much of Kyler's fault. I think he was doing what he had to do on these plays. I thought Kyler played pretty well. But yeah, let's move on. Kyle, my turn to give you a game. I'm going to give you your team again, Seahawks Patriots. Are the Patriots going to pull off an upset again and go 2-0 to start the season?
No. Look, very happy about the Patriots win. I do think that they have, if this defensive line performance they had in week 1 is real, I think they should be able to do pretty well against the Seahawks offensive line. If I'm being honest, I think that they should have some matchup advantages there. Seahawks traveling across the country. That's another element to this game that would be interesting. I think the Patriots should be able to run the ball again. But that being said, it's just too much. And, the Patriots run defense actually wasn't very good in that game. I think part of that was also they were prioritizing a lot the Bengals passing attack. But I also still think the strength of this defense is the secondary. And we saw what Kenneth Walker did in week 1. I thought he was impressive. And I just think the Seahawks are going to control that part of the game. And yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to win. The Seahawks are a better team, and they have talent across the field.
Well, let me try to talk you into it. I don't know. Maybe do you start trying to punt the ball, get him pinned at the 1 for Seattle? Try and get some more of that safety magic that Denver was working pretty well with their multiple safeties in week 1.
That would help. A couple safeties for sure.
Over under 1.5 safeties the Patriots get in this game.
Let's go under 1.5.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Seahawks. I didn't love the week 1 performance. I thought Geno had some pretty poor moments, especially in the first half. Like you said, the multiple safeties too. One of them was a holding. So, not exactly his fault, but I think they could have played a lot better, but they got the job done. They won the game. So that's fine. I don't know. I think it's pushing our luck to say the Patriots are going to win 2 games in a row at all this season, never mind the first 2 weeks. So especially when they just can't throw the ball forward. The forward pass was invented in 1904, and the Patriots haven't perfected it yet. So I just think that's a big problem. Not to mention they're not playing their best quarterback.
I do like that. They can't throw the ball forward. Can they throw it backwards? Is that they can do all right there?
They could try it. They did bring in Antonio Gibson and do that. So
okay, yeah. I think there's a chance. I think, again, Seattle did not look great week 1. I think that if you can get a turnover or 2, which I think the Patriots can do, that's kind of the key to success. I agree. I have Seattle winning, but I think there is some hope here.
Yeah, I don't think it's like Seattle's definitely not the kind of team that I think should be like a foregone conclusion against anybody, maybe besides Carolina.
The Giants, I think maybe even the Broncos.
Yeah,
but I guess they weren't against the Broncos, but the Broncos
they almost
weird
lost
game.
to the Broncos. Yeah, I mean they were up double digits late. So 2 teams that I think it's a foregone conclusion they'd probably be in the NFL. So I don't think that they should be given that sort of credit. But at the same time, I think it's going to take some turnover luck. It's going to take some variance plays for the Patriots in their favor.
Yeah, I think for Seattle, this is the game win handedly, kind of get again because I do think there is the question of, was last week who you are, or was that just a bad week?
Yeah. And the problem I had is last week looked a lot like last year. We continue to say the process and the results are not going together for Seattle. I needed to see like if I'm going to be convinced this is a playoff team, I just want to see him kick ass like once. Like just let's see it one time.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's move on. Why don't we? 5 games left to choose from. My light turned on for some reason. Kyle, where are you going next? As I turn my light back off above my head.
Let's go with Atlanta at Philadelphia.
Okay, I guess I'll give my thoughts and then I'll turn on. Falcons, Eagles. I mean, I have the Eagles. I think it's a good pick because, again, it's for the Falcons. They had such an underwhelming week 1. But I think the question you have is how much of that was just Pittsburgh does that to teams? Atlanta was one of the teams that was favored. So that's actually disappointing. But, the Eagles didn't look great at times. Like, their defense, I didn't think was great. And Hurts made a lot of mistakes. So, there is potential upset. Although I still think I just trust Philadelphia.
Yeah, I trust Philadelphia more in this game too, obviously. Jalen Hurts can't hand the ball over a bunch of times again. Obviously, I think he does have to play better than he did in week 1. But I do think that they are the better team. They should win this game handedly. They're at home, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. They had the extended break too. They are traveling from Brazil. But I think that they should handle this game. The big thing for me with Atlanta is I need to see progress from your offense because, like you said, this is a much more manageable defensive situation, to put it mildly. And you went against maybe the best defense in the league to not a very strong defense. Let's see how you move the ball. Let's see you at least put up a fight in this game, and I'll be very interested in that.
Yeah. Kyle, the way I kind of see this, I don't know. If the Falcons don't move the ball in this one, is it Michael Penix time?
Yeah, I would consider it.
Yeah, I mean, because at this point, if you can't get it done here, I mean, because then it becomes a real issue. So I do.
I mean, I guess it would. You obviously need the nuance. It can't just be Kirk Cousins' fault. But if he plays like he did in week 1 and those boneheaded throws, then you have to consider it.
It would be funny if they put Penix in and he sucked too, and they put all this on the quarterbacks and neither of them were good.
Yeah, that. I think some people would get fired at that point.
Probably. I think that tends to be what happens. Yeah, and for Philadelphia, I don't know. I am interested in this Falcons secondary against the Eagles offense. I thought, again, Pickens got open a decent amount in that game last week for Atlanta. So I think even their secondary was a bit underwhelming. This is a game for them to get back, although they didn't end up scoring a touchdown. They did give up yards. So I think that for Atlanta, their key to success has to be defensively not giving up big plays.
Which is a problem because you're going against A.J. Brown, who's just a monster. So I am worried about that. I'm worried about Saquon in this game. I mean, there's just too many weapons. There's too many weapons for Philadelphia right now. I think the Saquon element, we did talk about it, obviously, but we kind of just said, running back, he'll be impactful, but not, super impactful. This team just has so many options. This feels equivalent to McCaffrey to San Francisco. It's you got to deal with all of these pieces now. You have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith, you have Dallas Goedert, and you got Saquon Barkley now to the mix. This is really difficult to handle.
Yeah. It's a lot. Eagles, pretty good stuff. Kyle, do you want?
I give you that game, so it's your turn.
Yeah, I'm asking if you have any more thoughts on this game before we move.
You broke up a little bit there. My bad. So
gotcha.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Let's move on.
Okay, 4 games left to talk about. Sorry about that. Yeah, my internet every now and then has its moments. Let's move on to. Let's go again. 4 games left. How about Bears at Texans? Where are you going?
Yeah, this was next on my list too. I'm not gonna say that the Bears are going to be a disaster on offense all season. I think it's going to be a work in progress. I think we saw all the rookie quarterbacks kind of are going to take some time. So I'm going to take the Texans. They should be able to handle this one. The Texans are a more talented team across the board. The defense of the Bears I thought was very, they capitalized on plays for sure. Some mistakes. I am going to be curious to see how they rush the passer in this game and how they get after CJ Stroud. But I don't expect CJ Stroud to put the ball in harm's way like Will Levis did. So give me the Texans.
Yeah, and it's like the thing too is we can sit here and say, "Wow, the defense was making plays." It's like, well, I had a punt touchdown, and like again, Will Levis with one of the most insane plays you'll ever see. Like that was 14 points in that game. That being said, the Bears defense did play well, so I think
Hmm.
that's kind of part of the X factor. And I mean, the real question I think is, we think Houston's going to win. That's the expectation. What are we going to get out of Caleb Williams? You want to see some
Hmm.
growth here. It's a prime time game. Can you just get him to play competitive football, which he really didn't in week one?
Yeah, he didn't play competitive football in week one. Like I said, the big thing for me that was, if I'm going to take any positives away from the game, he didn't make like the huge mistakes. Like that's what you didn't want to see from him, because he did make some huge mistakes at USC. Like because he was just
Mhm.
trying some stupid stuff, to be honest. So he didn't make those monumental mistakes, but I do think there was a lot of like, I think he got caught looking at the offensive line and the pass rush a little bit too much. I don't think his eyes were downfield enough as they should have been. That was kind of my takeaway. I think he just had to be able to stand in the pocket and make some throws. I'm not wavering on Caleb Williams. Obviously, it's week one of your first career NFL start, so I think he's going to be fine. But yeah, you do want to see a little bit of growth there.
So you don't agree with Isaiah Fogg in the chat saying Bears should have kept Fields?
No.
No, don't think. Yeah, I think Bears are still okay with this selection after week one. But yeah, I mean, you hope that doesn't go poorly again. I mean, because then you got to start to wonder what's going on here.
Yeah. I'm really curious how it looks. I think they could use him in the design run games more too. Like he is also very athletic. He had some nice, like his best plays were running the ball, like scrambling. So
I don't know. I don't know if I would be doing that, to be honest. I think I don't need to have him with those extra hits.
yeah, maybe like one or two, maybe, at least
Sure.
get him moving a little bit. So like he's not just
That,
standing in the pocket and making
yeah.
something trying to make something out of nothing.
That I don't disagree with. That could be a good idea. Also, I think Romeo Dunze could be injured in this game, so that's could be out of this game, so that hurts as well. But yeah, I mean it should be it's a game where we think we know where it's going, but should at least be an interesting game for the Caleb Williams factor. Kyle, why don't you give me a game?
Yeah, let's go Raiders at Ravens.
Okay, Raiders Ravens, the biggest spread on this list, 9.5 point favorites. The Ravens are. What a disappointing week for the Raiders. I feel like. I have the Ravens winning. I think this is the game that they really need to win, and I don't know exactly what the Raiders are game plan is going to be here. I think defensively, like Max Crosby is very good. I guess that's the key to success. Is can Max Crosby just kind of take over? Maybe, but I think the Ravens will be able to move the ball well enough. And quite frankly, I think Minshew might struggle a lot against this Ravens defense that didn't play fantastic in week one, but I expect to be a lot better here in week two.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of just how I feel. I think the big thing is like that game did have some flukiness to it with the turnovers. Like Zamir White had a fumble. I think Gardner had a Minshew had a fumble as well that were kind of flipped the game, I think, a little bit. I thought the Raiders defense actually played all right in spurts. So I think it's going to be like, I don't think it's a bad defense for sure. The issue is I think it's a very good defensive line, and that's kind of where my head's at. Like, can this defensive line overwhelm an offensive line that I thought struggled in week one? I think that is possible. But the second element of that is you also have to get to Lamar Jackson still. And I think that's
Mhm.
what I'm worried about for the Raiders, where even their strength may not be a strength because Lamar is Lamar and he's going to be able to do his thing. So that is my concern for the Raiders. That being said, if they play mistake-free football, I think it gives them a chance. But can they play mistake-free football is the question.
Well, when I think Gardner Minshew, I think mistake free.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how well that's going to work for the for the Raiders. But again, I mean, the Ravens, like I said, their defense did give up spots. The Raiders do have a really good receiving core still, so maybe that's a way you can move the ball well. And then I don't know, maybe the Ravens drop an interception or two.
Yeah, you're going to need some luck for sure. I mean, these are all big spreads for a reason. So,
Yeah.
I think there was one other game that I'd probably consider for this one, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's impossible for the Raiders to win. They at least have more talent, I think, than the other teams that are the underdogs.
Yeah. Well, one team does have a win, so I'll give that to you. An underdog has a win. I'll give you 49ers at Vikings. Sam Darnold revenge game here, as he was the 49ers backup, is now the starter for the Vikings. And he was named the starter. It wasn't due to the injury, although I think we figured he would probably be a backup at some point. Vikings looked very good week one. They were playing a very bad team. The Niners looked very good week one. They weren't playing a very bad team. Kyle, who are you picking to win this game?
Who am I picking?
Yes.
That's a tough one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I thought about locking this one up. I decided not to, obviously.
Not that sold on Sam Darnold to lock up the Vikings just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the 49ers are going to win this game, I think, pretty handily. But
yeah,
maybe the Vikings are better than we think. Maybe they are. I mean, we only have 1 week of calibration so far, so maybe it is better than we think. Maybe Sam Darnold has turned the corner. All this kind of stuff. He has this awesome receiving core. Although I think Jordan Addison is questionable for this game now, so maybe that changes things. That being said, yeah, I mean, San Francisco's better across the board besides Justin Jefferson, and I think that's going to be an advantage.
I like hearing. Always nice to hear the dog in the background. Here's my pitch for how the Vikings could pull off this upset. Of you defensively, I think Flores could give the Niners some trouble here. This is something that kind of like what I was saying with the Bucks Lions. The teams that usually do okay against a team like the 49ers aren't the teams that just play cover 3 zone all game. It's the teams that are also mixing up what they're doing. They're trying new things, and it's both teams are trying to figure out what each other is doing. That's usually how you can get success. I still think the Niners are going to put up points, but like maybe there's a way you can get a key player to get a turnover that way. And because a lot of times when we're talking about these underdogs, part of the question is, well, how can they get turnovers? Because that's usually what you have to do to pull off an upset. Also, like, I don't know, Darnold did look good week one. I know it was just the Giants and all that, but like, I think the question heading into week one is, do you even trust Sam Darnold to hit the open guy? I think I trust him to hit the open guy. The question, though, is San Francisco might not give up too many open guys, although there is enough receiving talent here. Obviously, the Niners are favorites. I'm picking the Niners to win, but if you're going to make an argument for how the Vikings could win, that's the argument.
That is the argument. And, I think the other part of this is San Francisco is probably going to put a lot more pressure on Darnold at the line of scrimmage, so that also adds to it. I think all of that kind of goes together where it is still a little far-fetched, I think, but it is not out of the realm of possibility, I guess. So I think there is situations like that. My big concern with Flores, I do agree, like, you have to change the looks. You have to attack this defense. That is the big thing. The issue I have is historically with Flores, it comes down to, with this team at least, it comes down to blitzing. That's where they find their success.
Mm-hmm.
And my issue is that if they miss, it's probably going for a touchdown, like, just because that's, they're going to be odd numbers against the, the strength of 49ers with their skill position guys. And so I think there's opportunities for a lot of big plays though, out of those.
Yeah. I will say this too. The Vikings beat the 49ers last season. I believe that was Kirk Cousins' last game, if I remember correctly. And I remember Brock Purdy did not have a great game in that one. So there's maybe some upset potential here. I mean, I think that's why you see, typically this line would probably be a lot more than just 6. I think that's why you see it maybe a little bit closer.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, it is going to be, I would say, like, Minnesota and New Orleans are probably the 2 teams I'm kind of interested to see in week 2, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I felt like it was just such a strong, like, oh, this team sucks, rather than like, oh, this team played really well. That was surprising. And
Right.
Everyone's just like kind of in, like, what if these teams are like just better than we think? Like, I don't think people are giving that enough credit as a possibility.
Yeah, and it happens all the time where a team that we don't think is going to be very good, like look at the the Seahawks with Geno Smith, right? Like, it's not crazy that the Vikings could be a team like that. In Geno Smith's first year with the Seahawks. Let's move on to the final game, Kyle. You brought up the Panthers a little bit. Chargers, Panthers. What a week for the Chargers. All of a sudden, they are the last team picked in the show as favorites to win. Says a lot about the Panthers, I think. But Chargers still had a good week one. I'm picking the Chargers here, Kyle.
Yeah, no shock. I would be amazed if anyone would talk themselves into the Panthers after the week 1 performance. I think that's the big thing. I will say I want to see the Chargers offense play much better, obviously. This should be a game that they go after them. But yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers are better. I think the Panthers are a disaster. And until I see otherwise, I think the Panthers are in for a long season.
Is there any hope the Panthers could turn it around? Is there any way like this could be the? I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to be a game like this, right?
Yeah, this would catch everybody by surprise, and the Justin Herbert people will be in full force. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess, is there a chance? Possibly, but have we seen Bryce Young? Like, we haven't seen a reason for optimism for this team at all. Like,
Well, it's hard to see Bryce Young over the offensive line.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to like say there's a chance to turn it around when, I mean, we're pretty much just convinced this quarterback's not good.
Yeah. No, I think the Panthers stink and the Chargers might be okay. You have any more thoughts on this game?
No, I think we did it. We got through the week.
All right. That is our week. Again, early show. We will be on Wednesdays in future weeks. Make sure to stay tuned. Midnight Eastern every Sunday, we will be discussing the games that just happened. Kyle, let them know where they can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yep, make sure to follow him. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That out On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you like audio-only podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline Podcast. It should be available there. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
No. Looking forward to week 2. Let's get after it. And I'm going to see Cree tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Let's all have fun, and I'll see everybody on Sunday.
Nice, and you get to rock the new hairstyle there too.
I know. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Again, thank you to everybody. We do appreciate it. So update us on Kyle versus. I told you, Joe, at the beginning of the show, it was 0-0. Thank you, everybody. We do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.